All right, welcome to our first Saturday live stream. We've got the CDC saying you need to wear masks. We've got Jim Acosta making a fool of himself on live TV, plus a whole lot more. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. This is our first Saturday live stream, so we're going to see how it's going. Obviously, it's a bit more casual today, but I want to update you on some news, and then I want to go over some of the questions that folks sent in, and I think this is an ideal way to start the show. We're going to get into some in-depth stuff in upcoming Saturdays, but for now, I think a little bit of background on how this all got started would be helpful. But first, I want to talk about just a few updates from yesterday because actually a lot went on. I don't have the overlays for the show or anything like that. But if you watch the White House press briefing, I watch them every day so that I can bring you guys the news and information. There were some interesting developments, interesting findings. One is the CDC's new guidelines on wearing masks. Cotton masks, basically you could wear scarves or anything you can make at home. They recommend that for when you go out, still keeping your social distancing practices, but wearing those masks more for the protection of others than for you. Because if you are asymptomatic, you are still very contagious. And that is the time to protect others because you don't even realize it. So you sneeze, you wipe your face, you wipe something else around your face, you can transmit it. So they're recommending wear the face mask. It's not mandatory. President Trump was actually asked if he was going to wear one, and he said no. Now, of all the places that they probably keep clean, they test everybody around him. They test him. He just tested again the other day with the short version of the test. He's fine. Okay, I can see him not wearing one. But not only did they ask that, then later on the press briefing, they asked him again. Said, I know you just answered that, but can you answer again? So that's it from the CDC. Also, if you saw the press conference, Jim Acosta, these guys rotate, right? So anytime he rotates back in, you just know it's going to be pointless. It's going to be useless, and it's going to be information for a relaxed brain segment on the 13-minute news hour. And he was at it again. He just asks ridiculous questions. He interrupted Dr. Deborah Birx as she was taking it to the World Health Organization, who actually misled the people, said you didn't need to ban travel. And this is a few weeks after President Trump already banned the travel. And he went ahead and interrupted, tried to make political points, and just got roasted on social media. So you guys need to check that out. We've got that story actually on GOPUSA.com. That's our lead story for today. So after the show, please check out the website because it is filled with a lot of great information. And the other thing I want to update you on is the story I ran yesterday about the H-1B, the H-2A, H-2B visas. Someone wrote in on Facebook, I believe, saying, oh, you got it wrong and everything. Well, didn't get it wrong, but there has been an update just since yesterday, and that is the bonus visas for H-2B, the seasonal worker visas. Remember, by law, there's 66,000, and what I reported yesterday from Tucker Carlson was that an extra 35,000 were being allocated, were being permitted. They put a stop to that. Okay, that part is on hold right now. So far, the rest are going as is. So next, I wanted to go over some of the viewer questions because, and I hope you guys keep this coming. Please let me know what you think about this show in the comments, but also please use the link in the description, the Contact Bobby link, to let me know and send in videos. We've got some video questions that came in very late. I didn't have a chance to get to them, but we will tomorrow or the next time. So first, there was a younger viewer who asked, how did you get started in all this? They're interested in politics. They wanted to get some of the background and how they can get involved. And that's what I wanted to basically go over today, because the main point that I want to get across is that everybody and anybody can get involved and can make a difference. All you need to do is put in the time and put in the effort. You don't even have to know what you're doing at first, just get involved. And so for someone like me, my background has always been, it's a dual background, okay? It's always been highly technical and highly athletic. I'm an engineer and an athlete, and I've always been both. And through school, high school, and college, while I was studying engineering, I was always focused on sports, on tennis. I won the walk-on tennis tournament at Texas A&M 2 years in a row, and I ended up later being a top 10 nationally ranked tennis player in the men's 30 and over division. But that, when I was younger, that's all I was focused on. I'd go home, and if I turned on the news, it was to watch sports. That was it. I didn't know anything about politics. I couldn't tell you the difference between a liberal and a conservative. But then in graduate school, 1994 timeframe, something just hit me. I saw a story on the news. It was Elizabeth Pena and Jennifer Ertman, two girls in Houston that were walking home from school, and they took themselves down a trail that ended up in a gang initiation. And both of them were beaten, they were murdered, and it was just sickening. And it just affected me like no other story ever has. And so I decided I need to get involved. But I didn't know what that meant, but something was just telling me, get out there, do something. So I called the county Republican Party, the Harris County Republican Party, and I said, how can I get involved? And they said, well, where do you live exactly? And I said, well, I'm going to graduate school at Rice, and I live in this area. And they said, okay, well, here's a congressional race you can help out with. It was District 18, and that's a story in it of itself. But I got involved in that race, and this is Sheila Jackson Lee's district. And we were the first ones to run against her. She was the first time running. She was a city council member. She took out the incumbent. That was our opponent. She's been there ever since. So you can tell the job I did on my first campaign. But they also said, why don't you join the Houston Young Republicans? So I decided to do that, and I jumped right in as membership committee chairman, just because I enjoyed working with people and trying to build up the membership. And if you go through, it's just kind of funny, if you go through the history that I'm about to tell you in Young Republicans, you see that kind of office is always the kind of the one that suited me. So after I was membership committee chairman for Houston Young Republicans, I became president of the club. And after that, I was the club development director for the state of Texas, and I became a 3-term chairman of the Texas Young Republican Federation, and ended up being the number 3 national officer before I was done with Young Republicans. And one interesting note, during that national time, I also chaired the State Chairman's Association. But when I was chairman of Texas, Kevin McCarthy, our House GOP leader, guy who's probably going to be the next Speaker of the House, he was chairman of California. So I was chairman of Texas, he was chairman of California. We were the two rivals. And when it came time to run for national chairman, we actually had meetings of whether we were going to run against each other or whether we were going to team up, what was going to be the deal. We each had support on both sides, and I was the newer person. And so I thought, well, I will just team up. And so he ran for chairman. He was national chairman. I was the number 3 guy. And it was a great, great experience. And from there, I took my love of tech and love of politics to help start a company called GOPUSA.com, which has existed now for 20 years. It's conservative news and commentary. And I just dove into the political commentary side, gave lots of speeches. I've done that, across the country, and big gatherings like our state convention here in Texas. And I just did that to the point where in 2006, I actually ran for party office. I had some folks come up and say, hey, we've got a person, we want to change the direction of the state party. We've got a person who's running for chairman. We'd like you to run for vice chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. So I thought, hey, that would be a great experience. I always wanted to run for office. I always thought that was my calling. And so we started a good campaign, and I'm very organized, and we went at it really hard. But the experience was not what I was expecting, because right in the heat of the campaign, right as we're probably, 2 months from the election, my chairman candidate dropped out. She dropped out, and so I was left kind of just floating in space. It's kind of like voting for Mike Pence when the only ones who are running are Barack Obama and Joe Biden. But the folks said, hey, keep in the race because it kind of sends a message, and we nearly won. We still nearly won when I had no chance of winning, and it was a great, great experience. but it taught me a very valuable lesson. And I'm not making a judgment on other candidates, no judgment on any candidates out there whatsoever. But for me, in 2006, my kids were 9 and 4. And that was clear to me that that was not the time for me to run for office. My home office was downstairs, and we always watched TV in this little area upstairs. And I remember during the heart of the campaign, my daughter came and told me, "Hey, Dad, you never come upstairs anymore," because I was always there at my desk working, campaigning. And just that little statement right there just drove it home to me. And that wasn't for me. It was just other people can do it, more power to them. But now, and so then I just dove into GOPUSA. I took my athlete side to pro level racing, working my way up the IndyCar ladder, which has been a great experience. But now my kids are 23 and 18, and it just seems like something amazing happened this year. I mean, over this past year, we started this show, which I absolutely love. It's growing like crazy, 66,000 subscribers now, thanks to you. And I was asked to be campaign manager for a congressional race. And it just was a way to get back out to the grassroots side that I love so much. I just absolutely love that kind of thing. And it feels like, okay, now is the time to get back there and make a difference. But you see how it started. To answer the question, that's how it all started. And anybody can do it. I knew nothing about it. And pretty soon I'm chairman of the state of Texas for young Republicans, just by getting involved, just by offering to do something that other people weren't doing. And then if you've got ideas, they will listen. And that's how it all started. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that gives some good background on how I got started and that little tidbit between me and Kevin McCarthy. I think he's doing a great job, but it was cool the way we both came up and the paths that we took, different paths, but still trying to make a difference for the GOP cause. And we'll see what happens in the future. Then folks have asked, Mark Holland, I want to do a big shout out to you for your support on Patreon. I really appreciate that. But some items on the shelf. So based on this background, you can kind of see, and I'll point over there, the contents of the shelf, because it kind of tells a story of me. I have a PhD in engineering, bachelor's in aerospace engineering from Texas A&M, and master's and PhD from Rice University. And so you see some technical books, some of the math books that really stood out to me. My structural dynamics books, that's my specialty. And so you see those. You see the political books, just a few from my shelf in my office that have really stood out and made a difference. The cup is the trophy from my first pro racing win. And I wanted to put that up there because there was nothing harder that I've ever done than training, the physical training and the mental preparation for racing. And then the Batmobile, Batman is my favorite superhero. That was the car from the TV show that I grew up watching. We saw it in a comic book store. My son wanted it, so I bought it, and then I took it. So that's why that's there. And the shuttle is because of my aerospace engineering background. That is, I've worked 12 years for a NASA contractor. My office was there at NASA. Really enjoyed it. But it was during that time when I kept working more hours than not on GOP USA. And one of my good friends said, "Hey, that seems to be your passion. You need to do that full time." So in 2007, I took the summer off to just focus on my company, building a small business, and I never went back. I took the kids out of daycare. So since 2007, all they've known is me at home working. And remember that when I ran for party office, that was 2006. So right there in that time was a kind of a big transition for me. And being at home with them was one of the greatest things I've ever done. So really enjoyed that. But the shuttle is an homage to my years working at NASA. Really like that. And the BE was a project that my son and I did on his 3D printer. We took my logo and we made it into those letters. So we really enjoyed that and just had a fun time working on that project together. And now they're on my shelf here in my brand new studio that I've had for about a month. I really like it, really enjoy it. And I just hope that that gives you some background. So like I said, we've got some great videos that came in at near the end. One was asked, Justin sent me a clip, a link to a series of videos he wanted me to check out, get my opinion on the politics, deep state type ideas, things like that. And I'll definitely review them. Another guy asked about the electoral strategy for President Trump in his reelection. Now, this is all crazy right now, but hopefully by the end of the summer, when people actually start paying attention to the presidential campaign, we'll get rolling with that. And I've got a lot of ideas and strategies, and actually how tough, despite the job he's doing, it was so razor thin in 2016 that everything still needs to fall into place for us to do well next time around. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. This was a lot of fun. And I will definitely take your questions next time, and we will go from there, and we'll just keep it going. And I'll try to pick out one particular topic to, like I did with today with this background on, and go more in depth. You know, give a slight update on what's going on in the news, but get in depth on a particular subject, issue, idea, just whatever you guys think. So please let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments. And we'll keep this going. So I'm just really excited about how this all went. And I'm going to chat with you for a few more seconds. I think when I end the live stream, it might end the chat as well, but we'll see about that. So anyway, that's our show for today. Please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you on Monday with the regular 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.